Welcome to America's #1 Cincinnati-based museum podcast. Meanwhile, at the museum, the show that takes you behind the scenes of Cincinnati Museum Center and beyond. Over there on the ones and twos, we have our producer, Magic Mitch.
Hey.
I'm your host, Cody Hefner. Joining us today is astronomer Dean Regas. Astronomer it feels like a very narrow but a very broad term as well, right? I mean, how would you describe yourself?
Well, so I'm, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what my title should be. I was a longtime astronomer at the Cincinnati Observatory for 23 years. And 2 years ago, I left there and now I'm, astronomer at large. So I roam the country with telescopes and give talks around everywhere that I can. So, rogue astronomer has also been thrown out.
That's a good one. I like
astronomer
that.
To the people, people's astronomer.
Astronomer to the stars?
Astronomer to the stars. So I'll take them all. I'm trying to trademark all of them, but I think your astronomer is the one that's kind of been the best one so far. But I don't know, rogue still sounds pretty cool too.
Rogue sounds cool.
Rogue astronomer, yeah. So.
Here we'll do two intros, and we can think about which one we like best. Joining us today is your astronomer, Dean Regas. Joining us today is rogue astronomer Dean Regas. That one does sound.
Yeah, that does have a good ring to it too. Yeah, so we're working on it, but basically, my main mission is just to get people excited about stargazing and the universe up above in any form possible. So I do the podcast called Looking Up with WVXU at Cincinnati Public Radio. I've written 7 books on the subject and just really pretty much just do talks all around the country about this. So I try to get people excited about it.
So how long have you been at this?
Yeah, so I started at with the Cincinnati Parks. I was a part-time naturalist with the Cincinnati Parks, and I was at Avonwoods. So it's a little park in Bond Hill. It's a nice, beautiful little park, and they transferred me to Burnett Woods. So by UC, there's the park there, and they had a planetarium there, and I knew nothing about space. I mean, zip. And they're like, "Hey, Dean, there's a planetarium. You're in charge. First show's next week. See ya."
This is a theme. So Dave Dazinski, who recently retired from Cincinnati Museum Center after 40 years, came to the museum to run the museum's planetarium, and then the OmniMax Theater was just kind of thrust on him and say, "You're going to run this. You figure it out." People see a dome and they're like, "Whatever, just throw someone in here. They'll figure it out."
Well, I would say that's more of a product of informal educators, as folks that are in the biz in the Cincinnati Museum Center, educators. You know what I'm talking about. The parks are the same way. They're like, wait, we got this job we need to get done. Who's going to do it? Naturalists, informal ed. Yeah. You're flexible, and we are. That's the thing. That was what the process of doing that for the parks meant, that I would learn a new subject because there's a group coming in. So if it's geology, I got to learn the fossils of Cincinnati. If it's birds, I got to learn the birds. And so this was just going to be another thing. Like, all right, well, I'll do a planetarium for a while. Okay, well, let's see, where's the North Star? Okay, we got to work on that. But then
turn around.
But then
north.
What happened was you're under the dome and the lights turned out and put the stars up there, and it was like this light switched on in my head. It was like this magical moment where I'm like, "Oh, I could do this. This is cool. Like, this is the best subject ever."
What is this intoxicating sight?
Yeah. So that was back January 1998. So that's when I started doing this, because before that, I have a teaching degree from Xavier. I was going to teach high school history. That was what my degree was in. And so I graduate and I'm like, I'm not ready for a classroom. Student teaching was so difficult, but so rewarding. It was probably one of the best things I did, but I'm like 22 years old getting out of school. I'm like, do I want a 70-hour-a-week job? I mean, so that's why I went for the Cincinnati Parks for a while. And I was like, okay, this will be a transition. I'll go back in the classroom. I just need a little break. And then this astronomy thing got me, and that was it. It was one of those things where I knew right away this is what I wanted to do.
That's what I love about careers. And anytime I talk to high school students, college students, which is not a lot, people aren't seeking me out to be like, Cody, give us wisdom. But your career trajectory is not a straight line. It's not about climbing the ladder. It's about zigzagging. And a lot of times you sort of just stumble into something or an opportunity presents itself. And when you're young and you're working, you're sort of just buying time until that, that dream job presents itself. And people just kind of back into it. They just kind of stumble into it.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely how it happened to me. I was super against this transfer. I loved Avon Woods. I loved doing nature ed, and then I'm like, yeah, the planetarium. And I'm like, oh man, it was such a challenge, but it changed my entire life. And so I thank the Cincinnati Parks for making that available to me. And I even they let me do a show on my 25th anniversary of my first show.
Really?
So yeah, in 2023, I gave a 25th anniversary show. And this little planetarium, it's small. I mean, it's like 16 people, so it's very tiny. You probably barely even know it's even there because it's just in the nature center by the concrete slide by the lake. And so it was a lot of fun giving the show, and same jokes that I did 25 years ago. So it was kind of fun.
Do they still land?
Yeah, just as bad as they did the first time. So maybe I got a little better.
You said you fell in love with astronomy at the planetarium, but was that like where you discovered it, or was it kind of rekindling an interest from childhood, or was it totally new for you?
Totally new. Like I had no astronomy background before that. I mean, I remember as a kid, I got a star chart from my uncle. Totally didn't know how to use it, threw it away. I mean, like, and then I remember having somebody had a telescope, but we couldn't get it to work. And so it just was one of those things where it's like, I don't know. But I guess I'm scientifically minded.
But you studied history.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. Well, I mean, that was the last of a line of majors. So I was a communications major initially. And so I think I had this vague notion that I was going to be a writer and go into advertising of all things. That's why I started with communications. And then I switched to math. Because I was like, well, I'm kind of mathematical. And then I ran into Calc 2, and that was it. I'm like, well, forget this. I don't know what I'm doing with this. So that takes math out. So then I'm like, history. Yeah, I like history. Sure. I got 2 years to graduate. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, I can just barely squeeze in, and because after that, then I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to pay a lot. So I better get this degree.
I feel a little bad for history sometimes. I'm also a history migrant. I started zoology. I also really thought I liked science until organic chemistry.
Yeah.
Which taught me you do not like science.
No, that's that was the same way with me with calc. Like I just did not get it, and I was like, if I don't get it, then I'm not going to get a lot of other things that's coming after this. But really, if fate twists of things turn differently, I could end up being at the museum center, being a historian, or and I know Dave Dzinski. I've known him for a long time, and it's like, his arc was very similar, and he went this direction, and I went the other direction,
right.
And it's so that's why I love you guys. I mean, it's like you're like my closeted, fantasy job, like walking up here to the Hall of Justice, and like we just need to open up the dome and have a telescope sticking out the top.
That'd be cool.
Then we'd be all set. But
those panels come off, don't they?
They you can't. There's a hatch you can pop out, and you're on the tip top of the dome.
Yeah,
we can talk about that.
I think that should be a priority for you guys. You're like my secret crush. Like I'm like, whenever I park in the lot and I walk up here, I'm just like, God, this building's so cool. I need a telescope, but it's so cool.
It is. It is the Hall of Justice. You are wearing glasses. I've never seen you and Superman in the same place at the same time. But you don't bear resemblance. Maybe
no,
glasses,
not at all. Not at all. I'm I'm mild mannered, I guess, in normal life, and then if in front of an audience, I am a different person. It is kind of weird, but
you flip that switch.
I tend to go towards a Batman type character since I like the dark and everything like that, and and he doesn't have superpowers. He's self-made. He learned all this stuff. So I feel like, yeah, if I wanted to, I could learn I don't think I can learn self-defense. Okay, so that's where it's out. But
a big enough telescope. And you can
yeah, I'm not
bash
imposing physical presence, so that makes it tougher. So
what would be your dream job at the museum if you could either make it up or boot someone out and take their job? What would that be?
I think, to be completely honest, I would just love to sit in the OmniMax and watch the light tunnel over and over and over again. I could just sit there.
Until it makes you sick.
I came to one of the Tuesday shows for members, and it was great, but they didn't show the light tunnel in front in the beginning. And they're like, well, some of them they do, some they don't. And I'm like, well, we got to talk to somebody.
It is.
We need light tunnel every time. But so
it is a bone of contention. I will give you that. So
it is the coolest thing. So I would just watch that over and over. But let me think. What else would I do? Yeah, I think that. Well, because I remember the old days at the original site, the planetarium that was on Gilbert, and it's so strange that people, the longtime Cincinnatians, were like, oh, is that planetarium still there on Gilbert? And I'm like, boy, you have not been downtown in a while. I mean, I was like, but it's still, people remember that. And so, I think, I think if you guys need a head of astronomy, that'd be, I'd do it. Yeah. Just give me a nice office on the top floor, maybe by Tower A. I'll take that.
Okay.
If that's available. That'd be good.
There's room up there. Yeah.
Is there? Well, you guys have a big building. I mean, there's like art, there's like catacombs, and I've gotten some of the background of this place. So, there's probably secrets too. So I want to know the secrets.
The oldest object in our collections is a meteorite.
That's
like Diablo Canyon, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen the collection.
Older than Earth itself.
Yeah. I got a little behind the scenes of the Geyer building, and so I was like, "What rocks you got? What meteorites you got?" And they're like, "Here's our meteorite tray of stuff." And I was like, "Can I hold it?" And they're like, "Yeah." So yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Meteor Man?
I know. I probably blocked it out.
It's like 1993 or something.
Yeah.
Where like a meteor crashes and he touches it and he gets superpowers.
Yeah.
And then they continue to, then bad guys touch it. Anyway, is that based on a true story?
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I touched the Canyon Diablo meteorite. Yeah. So yeah.
You saw into deep time.
Yeah, when I take the glasses off, then that's when it happens. So
So this is a mind-boggling journey because you studied history, you're student teaching. Then you're a naturalist, which is also, I guess it's Earth history, but it's probably not the history you studied.
No, completely different. Yeah.
So are you just like, I can learn trees and plants? Why not?
Well, you had to. That's the thing, because nobody else is going to do it. So, like, you got second graders coming in, so you got to be ready for them, at least on a second grade level.
What's that tree? That's a birch. No, it's not. It's an oak. I'm like, all right, kid.
Yeah. And and then the one thing that I notice about myself still, after doing this for more than 25 years, I still have that like childhood passion for it. Like we were doing some solar viewing. So you have this telescope where you can project an image of the sun safely so you don't, go blind and all that stuff. And we're showing this to like kids, and then it was getting cloudy. So we had to move the telescope, around to where the sun was shining. And I'm like carrying this telescope around. These kids are following behind me. And I'm like, here it is. And I'm like, I'm more excited than the kids are. Like, even though I've done it hundreds of times. And it's one of those things where I thought, okay, so in any other subject, I would have become jaded, old, just be like, I don't want to do it. But it's constantly going. There's always new stuff to learn. And I think it's the audiences that get me motivated too, because they're so excited about the subject.
There's always something new to learn. This is the dumbest statement you hear, but space is huge, right? It's massive, and we have such a keyhole view of it. And part of that is just you can only focus on so much of this massive expanse, but also it's not just about what you can see. You have to get there to see it. Like, things are beyond view and
Yep.
takes ages. Like, what is, like, how can you fathom the vastness of space?
Short answer, you can't, so don't bother. No. Long answer is you can't, but you can try. And the trying part is, I think, that's what we are. Is we, as a species, what I figured out is we're explorers. And so we want to know the answers to these things. And we do tend to look up more than down as a species, I think. And
Why
that's
do you think
also
that is?
I don't know what there's like there could be a heavenly religious bent to it, but there's also just like exploring up as the future, up as possibilities, up as there's something about that. And it's what our ancestors have been doing for thousands of years. Like it's when they have free time, what do? They kick back and watch the stars. That was what the pastime was around the world. And so we're basically just doing the same thing we've been doing for 6,000 years. But what we have different now is we have at least a pretty robust understanding of where we are in the universe and what the universe really is. Because, if we go back even 100 years, we're not sure if there are other galaxies. We think that the Milky Way is the whole thing. And now we know that there's, latest estimate. Well, see, this is the other thing about the scale stuff is that the numbers change so often that I don't get attached to them.
Yeah.
So right now, the estimate is there's 2 trillion galaxies in the universe, and each galaxy has billions and billions of stars. So how do you wrap your head around that? I don't know. I can say that fact, though. It's kind of fun.
So, I told you, Mitch asked the smart questions. I asked the 10-year-old questions. Each star, the sun is a star, right?
Right.
So theoretically, every star that you're seeing in the night sky, there are planets potentially orbiting that.
Well, so that is one of the newest fields that is really exciting is exoplanet research. So that's planets revolving around other stars. So
that's a new field?
Very new.
Really?
And expanding faster than anybody would have ever thought. So you could barely detect planets around other stars. Mostly you could, in the old days, like 20 years ago, all you could do is detect if that star wobbled from an unseen giant planet, making it wobble. Its gravity makes it wobble as it goes around there. So you can only detect really big planets. So it'd be like Jupiter size or bigger. And then they figured out a way that they could see planets going in front of stars and blocking them like little mini eclipses. And now with that method, we're finding, I don't know what the count is now, 5,000, 6,000 planets around other stars. And this is the last 10 years that most of these have been found. So very, very recent stuff. And so the most optimistic person, astronomer 20 years ago, would have said, all right, maybe 1 out of every 1,000 stars has a planet. That would have been the optimistic view. What the data is showing is 1 in 5 have planets. So if you take the Milky Way with 300 billion stars, 1 in 5 of those has a planet. So what are we at? 60 billion planets. All right. One of those, like Earth, statistically sounds pretty good. So that's just our galaxy.
Come on, you said calculus 2 was hard.
No, that's stats. I can do stats. That I can do. I'm a good estimator and I'm a good stats person, but then computing orbits, forget about it. You got to get somebody else to do that.
What draws you to it? Is it the science? Is it kind of the wonder? Because you can look at something, you can look at the sky and you can just be in awe of it and just be curious and just look around. But then there's the science of it. Like, let's understand it. Where do you fall?
So there's 2 kind of camps in astronomy. There's the observational astronomers that, are at the telescopes, they're collecting the data basically. And then there's the theoretical astronomers. Those are the ones that take the data and tell us kind of what it is and what it's meaning. I'm on the observational side, so I like the stuff we can actually see. And I'm less excited about the stuff of like, oh, what does this mean and how does this work and all this stuff. And so there's a little rift between the 2 of them. They have a playful joking back and forth, and they're like, the theoretical people are like, well, this is how it is, and they're like, yeah, well, right, but you need the data for it, and so you need us to give you the data. So I always like the observational side. but I think more importantly, I like the stuff that I can see myself and that other people can see themselves. Because some of you get all these stories about astronomers discover this, but it's nothing that you can actually see unless you have a gigantic, humongous telescope in Hawaii or something like that. So it's those stories of the cycles up there that you can actually witness. Eclipses definitely are number one for me. Those are the top things to see, absolutely. Comets are great. We need a good comet. We haven't had one in a while. But even weird rando events, like about 4 years ago, we had Jupiter and Saturn come together in the sky. And they come together every 30 years or so, but not in the way that you could see them both at the same time in a telescope. So Jupiter in a telescope is just awesome. You see stripes on the planet. You can see the red spot. You can see the moons. And this is just in a backyard telescope. So anybody can do this with a backyard telescope. And in Saturn, you look at Saturn through a backyard telescope and you see this ring around it. And you're like, what? That can't be. What? Are you serious? So many people look at Saturn. They're like, would you put a sticker on the end of the telescope? I'm like, no, that's the real thing. Isn't that amazing? And so we had Jupiter and Saturn in the sky together, so close that you could see them in a telescope at the same time.
Look in the eyepiece, you see both of them together.
Yeah, and that I think the last time it happened was year 1600, and next time will be 600 years from now. So it's like those things that those things you gotta see, and that was so cool to be able to see it. And there's some chances that you have things like that happen, or Venus going in front of the sun, called a transit of Venus, which happened in 2004 and 2012, and won't happen again until 2119. So you better believe I saw those two in 2004, 2012.
So what do you recommend for people to see these things? Like, what kind of telescope do you have at home?
Yeah, I have too many telescopes, but I have a real small portable one that you just carry in your hand pretty easily. I've got a bigger one with a tripod, and then I got the giant one that's the size of a water heater. And then I have a solar one too. So I guess I have 4. There's probably more in there, but anyway, that's so what I recommend to people is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a snarky answer, but it's more realistic because I know that the telescopes have become more expensive and it's really hard to pick one. So my advice is don't buy one, use somebody else's, because somebody else is going to have a bigger one than you have. And so why not, so make friends. There's astronomy clubs all around the country, and they are not obsessive. Yeah, they're pretty obsessive. So you get an astronomy club. You're gonna find somebody in the club that invested $25,000 in a telescope. Use theirs. Yeah, that's my advice. Because it's really hard to pick a telescope. But if you had to pick one, there's a style that I like that's called a Dobsonian. It looks like a cannon. It moves left, right, up, down. That's the style that you get a bigger mirror for a cheaper price. And so that's the style I'd get. But I'd say join a club, have some friends, use their telescopes, because they bought the telescope probably in a way that could jeopardize their marriage. They spent that much money on it, and they want to show it off to you. So you are helping them justify that purchase. So do it.
So that scene in Armageddon where the guy's looking at the telescope and his wife comes in and they get in an argument, is that the most accurate thing in that movie? Do you know what
I don't know what type of telescope is, but usually telescopes in movies are used incorrectly, and I just scream at no, they're looking at it backwards. Why can't you get a consultant? It's not even a good telescope. Yeah, so it's probably that's probably what I saw. I was like, well, you only paid $50 for that, and he's looking through it backwards.
So where you don't give us your address, but where do you live? I mean, are you kind of out in the country so you can see stuff like without light pollution, or are you just fighting through it?
No. I'm still Cincinnati's still my home base. So I live on the east side, not too far from city lights, unfortunately. So that is one of the things that really attracts me is the dark skies too. So, but I also love living in cities, so it's a problem. So Cincinnati is where I kind of have my home base, and I love the city so much. But when I can get out, then I do it. And so the national parks are my usual go-to place. So Grand Canyon is my number one place to go, just because they have so many great astronomy programs, and will give me a place to stay, which is really awesome too. I guess if you volunteer long enough, they'll give you a place to stay. But I also go out to do star parties in other parks, like Joshua Tree National Park in California.
Oh, wow.
I go out to there every year and give a talk. This summer I'll be going out to the Badlands for the first time, doing a program out with them in South Dakota. And so, yeah, the national parks are great. And so getting some dark skies, that's the only thing that's going to get me out of Cincinnati is, Arizona, New Mexico, that weather. It just, you can't beat that. So we have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse coming up in March 2026, and it's better to see it out west than here. We can see it in Cincinnati, but it's a little bit better out west. So I'm probably going to bail and leave Cincinnati in the dust in March, because it's probably going to be cloudy anyway. So I'll probably go to Arizona. We'll see.
Dave Dazinski, he, Mitch, what was it? Was not the last solar eclipse.
I don't think it was a recent one, was it? But
no,
it was...
but he got the museum to sanction a trip to Hawaii to go see this, and he takes this group out there. And the forecast is rain. And they're like, well, we're going to go up to the top of this hill. We're going to hike up this hill, take this long journey up there to see it. And where they thought it would be a little more clear. So they go all the way up there, and it's cloudy. It's crappy weather. They don't see anything. They get back to where they were staying, and they go, "Oh my gosh, did you see it? It was amazing. It was amazing. Completely missed it."
Yeah, that's my nightmare. And yeah, there's with eclipses, there's definitely the fear of missing out. That's for sure. I'm not a good person to be around during eclipses because I'm stressed out beyond compare. The one in 2017, I went down to Kentucky, and it was perfectly clear sky. There was like no chance it was going to get cloudy, but I'm still nervous wreck the whole time. And this last one in 2024, I was in Wapakoneta at the Neil Armstrong Museum, which was great. I mean, the forecast was who knows, but it ended up working out great. So yeah, I've been asked to do eclipse tours, and I even talked with some folks at the museum center about like, hey, should we do a tour for the 2024? I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it. They're like, well, it'd be fun. We get a whole group of people. I was like, I don't want any responsibilities. And
this is my time.
And if it's cloudy where we're planning to go, I will leave you in a heartbeat. If there's clouds, it's everybody for themselves on eclipse day. And so I don't want to do any eclipse tours, except 2027 is going to be the total solar eclipse is going to go through Egypt and right across like the pyramids and everything. And for that one, I'm going to go on a tour. They said, well, do you want to lead it? I'm like, no. I just want to go.
I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, I want to go. And if it's something like 97% chance of clear skies. So it's like almost, I'll knock on the desk and mess up the sound. Sorry. But it's almost, that one, the only one. But otherwise, I'm going to do it myself. I probably know the one that Dave went to. I've heard stories about that. And you're asked also about like kind of motivations and things like that, and I've figured out that eclipses is gonna be my personal motivation. And the idea is like, these eclipses happen around the world. They are total solar eclipse, which I hope so many people got to see the one in 2024, because it's just like it's just mind blowing. It shakes your reality. It just like you think like this is the whole experience is so weird, and like I just want to see as many of those as possible. And I also know that like for longevity, it helps to have goals in life and to have things to look forward to. So that's going to be my goal of life, is see all the eclipses until I looked on the maps and all this stuff. And I saw these 3 that were going to be in the United States in the 2070s. And I'm like, it's going to be pretty old. Okay, it's 20. There's the third one's 2079, May 1st, 2079. And I would be 105 and a half years old. So I'm doing the math. I'm like, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And so I'm, it's one of those things, if you put goals, like your workout goals out there, I'm putting it out there to the universe. I'm going to see the May 1st, 2079 eclipse.
Makes you accountable.
And yeah. And so if you have something to look forward to, that's going to keep me alive. And then May 2nd, gone.
That's fine.
That's it. That's fine. So that's my goal. I'm going to do it. I got to change some lifestyle decisions here, get a little healthier, but that's what I'm going for.
The 2024 eclipse, I was here. I was in town, so it wasn't full, but almost. And it was...
Did the museum center make you stay here?
No, I chose. So I...
What? Why? What? What is going... I don't know if we can continue this conversation. Like, you opted
the
to
sound
stay
you
here.
hear is storming out.
Okay, go ahead. Try to justify this.
But this is not gonna help. I have a mother, 2 brothers, and my dad all live in Lima and Wapakoneta. So, and then I have a third that lives in Findlay, which may also have been in the path. So I didn't feel like I had anywhere I could go for it. Is the headline.
All right, so that means next time in Ohio, 2099. So you have to live to 2099.
Oh man, yeah.
Just to make up for that.
Talk about lifestyle changes.
I sneaked just into the path of totality. Just caught the edge of it. So
thank you, Mitch.
There. Yeah. Well, see, I know there's no going back, but that means you got to do the future ones. That's the thing. And I mean, that was one of the biggest things that I had. I kind of ended up being like the eclipse PR person, like for the region. Like,
I remember hearing you on the radio.
I don't know how many radio TV spots I was on, but like afterwards, like I'd say this is what it's going to be like, and everybody would be like, nah, it's not going to be that good. And I'm like, it's going to be better. Don't worry. It's better than even I say it. It's like seeing a total solar eclipse is the best thing you will ever see in your life. Better than your wedding day, better than the birth of your children, says the guy who's not married and has no kids. But everybody's like, okay, well, maybe third best thing. But and then when people saw it, they're like, it was better than you said it was. And that's the thing. So, yeah.
It truly was. Seeing it, and even not seeing it not in totality, I'm sorry, it is incredible. And you talked about seeing Jupiter and Saturn through a telescope. That's like seeing that stuff with your own eyes, because you've been in school, you've seen the book, you've seen the dioramas, but we talk about that here in the museum. Seeing the real thing there's power to that. And so everyone looks up at the sky, they see the stars, but seeing it through a telescope and seeing Saturn's rings themselves, like these mythical rings of Saturn, is incredible. Like there's power in that, and the same thing with the eclipse as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing, is we had this big uptick after the 2017 eclipse because so many people went to Kentucky to see that one. And then after this, it was sunny in Ohio, it was sunny in Indiana, it was sunny in Illinois. It's like this is going to inspire a lot of people. And I'm still seeing this. It's almost like, the moon landing, how that like galvanized so many people into the sciences. I think that there's a big boost in astronomy right now, and I think it's it's really kind of cool to see.
Fun fact, Mitch's first day at Cincinnati Museum Center was the 2017 eclipse.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
I remember
We were at our Court Street building because Union Terminal was under restoration, and everyone was out front of the building with our boxes for our pinhole projectors and the glasses.
What stood out to me was like seeing it come through the leaves of the trees and the little crescents, the crescent shadows and things like that. An eclipse is, I mean, imagine not knowing what's going on and just losing your mind because everything is different. Like nothing is the same. It's dark in the middle of the day. The sun looks like it's going away. And if you make it through that, it starts to come back and just mind blown.
Yeah. It really is this moment. And yeah, you think even if you know it's coming, it's still, I mean, even this was my third one that I saw, and everyone's different. And I noticed all these new things that I never noticed in the other ones. And when it's over, it's just like this dream state that you're like, what happened? And you're left altered. And so that one was really cool. So I'm glad so many people got to see it.
It's incredible to think the history of astronomy because so many of these events are either irregular or it's 30 years between occurrences. And so you think of these early astronomers writing a note and then dying before they see it again, and someone just needs to uncover that, or like are multiple people paying attention and seeing that, or did someone see it, someone dug it up? Like the tracking of this, it is this long game to understand the skies and the heavens above.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking about how, vast and, infinite the universe is. Time is also related to this, and time is the thing that messes me up more than space. It's hard to imagine distances in space and how many miles are apart from places. But, that you could at least see, but time is the one that, the amount of time that's come before now, and that everything that happened before now leads us to this very moment here. That's like heavy, man. That's like, because I just think about anything that could have changed, anything that was done differently. Like space movies, I'll critique up and down because I'm just like, okay, they're using the wrong telescope. The moon phase is wrong. That guy just said something wrong. But with time travel movies, I can't watch time travel movies because I don't want to think about like Michael J. Fox changing my future. Like I don't want to.
It freaks you out.
It's too much. Yeah. Like, cause I'm just like, what if the Earth wasn't struck by a large object and its distance passed? What if we didn't have a moon? What if we, what if the sun didn't form the way it did? What if it was a double star instead of a single star? I don't want to go there. That's just, so it makes you feel like the people do ask me about like what it makes you feel about like the future and that kind of stuff in the past. And I think that the things that astronomy has helped me with is, number one, appreciate the Earth as a unique, unbelievably oasis in the vastness, because there's no place for us to go out there right now. There's no place we can realistically send anybody. So this is our place. So that helped me. And then also helped me realize like what amazing time period we're in right now. And it's a neat perspective that I never had, but it's mostly positive. So yeah, I'd say it's mostly I'm mostly an optimist as general as it goes.
So what is going on right now in terms of astronomy? Like, what's the hot topic? What's new in space?
Well, for me, I think exoplanets, we talked about that earlier, is number one. I think that finding other planets around other stars has been a pleasant surprise, unbelievable surprise as to how that research is going. And so we are not quite at the point where astronomers are finding Earth 2.0, even though media likes to report that. Because, the astronomers in front of a microphone, they need some training. You guys need to train them a little bit more on how to talk to the media.
It's all speculative, right? I mean,
you can't.
It's
Yeah, and when you get astronomers say, yeah, this is an Earth-like planet, and the reporter's like, Earth 2.0. Astronomer says another Earth has been found, and you don't say, you got to qualify it better, or you got to anyway. That's just me. I need to talk to them, but I think exoplanet research is big, and we're close to finding elements in atmospheres of exoplanets. So there's been some preliminary things we're finding, maybe oxygen in atmospheres around planets, around other stars. And that's the next step, but we're still a little ways away from seeing people waving at us, that kind of thing. But
how do you tell that? Is it like infrared, and you can tell different elements of atmospheres?
Yeah, you can break out the light that's coming, and in most of these cases, it's the light that's blocked that's not there sometimes. So it's this field of breaking up light into its components, and so we can tell elements just from light and lack of light sometimes.
Talking about planets, let's get your take. Pluto. Oh
yeah.
Do you still consider it a planet?
No.
Do you justify its downgrade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is old news, man. No,
if it's not a planet, what is it?
Oh man, this is so. Can I plug my book then? I wrote a book called How to Teach Grown-Ups About Pluto, How to Walk Your Traumatized Adult Through the Loss of a Planet.
Dave Kaczynski still considers it a planet, so we'll get a signed copy and I'll mail it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it is still a hot topic. It's 19 years ago it was reclassified. I say still demoted. I think demoted is right. They're trying to say it's reclassified. Like,
if my very excellent mother is not serving us 9 pies, what is she serving us? 9 what?
Nachos.
Oh, good. All right.
Yep, there we go. Problem solved. And another conversion.
All right.
No, but what it really comes down to is, so I do a lot of work out in Arizona, so at Grand Canyon, but also the Lowell Observatory, which is in Flagstaff there. That's where Pluto was discovered. And they even have an annual I Heart Pluto festival to celebrate the planet discovered. And Arizona has also made it their state planet, which is I just think it's so.
So Arizona does not have a state planet?
No, Arizona.
Technically.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I say.
Did they do that at least before it got demoted?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Just a couple years ago, maybe 1 year ago. So I'm at this Pluto Fest, this Pluto Love Fest, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Discoverer." He's like in mythical features, and it's like, and they're like, "Yeah, it's our state planet. It's the planet." And I'm just like, "Okay, yeah, right. That's one way of looking at it." But so they have this whole thing, and we have a little friendly back and forth about it too, because they're not. They like it for the PR and that kind of stuff, and to highlight their real science that they do there, which is incredible. But I've offered to come in as the villain to be. So I gave a talk. About my book about like how grown-ups might need to reevaluate. Have a real conversation with a child that can convince them that Pluto is not a planet, because the child will be able to convince you. I won't, but the kid will, because it makes sense to them. And they booed me a few times, but I take it on. And so yeah, Pluto. So the crux of the thing is, and this is what I think people miss, is it's not a matter of going back to 9 planets. It's not 8 or 9 planets. If Pluto counts as a planet, it opens up a whole bunch of other ones to be planets also, because you can't put Pluto but not the other things that are exactly like Pluto. And so the question is it 9 planets or 8 planets? It's 8 planets or 5,008 planets. And think about your saying then. Your mother's going to be serving you all sorts of stuff. It's going to go on a long laundry list of things you're going to get. And how are you going to teach the kindergartners the 5,008 planets?
My mom's going to write in right now and say, it feels like I was doing 5,000 things for you guys every day.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
She might be a proponent.
If she can make up a saying for it, go for it. But that's the thing is, and that's there's this, And it's so strange to me, this like love of this icy ball that you can't even see it in a telescope. And I mean, it's a great world. It's awesome, but there's lots of other things too. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's something, the Disney character, the oddball, the eccentric. I don't know what it is about Pluto, but it still holds sway. And but I do have to say that it only resonates in older people, and kids today don't care. So we need to maybe move on.
That's a fascinating thing about science, though, is you have to be okay with being wrong. Part of being a good scientist is hoping that you're proven wrong. Well, I mean, not quite. But
you're right.
To be a scientist, it's like you have to say, like when you get your degree, say, great, now sign this document that says I'm fine being wrong, because that just advances the field of science to prove things wrong or to try to prove things wrong, because then every time it's not wrong, it's right.
Oh yeah. And we see this time and time again, and it does kind of perplex non-scientists that they're like, well, wait, I thought you said this was right. It was like, yeah, well, it was, we thought it was right, but now we're not sure. And then they're like, well, so what you think right's now is right? I was like, no, we just think it's right. It's the evidence is pointing to that. We're not going to say absolute truth. That's the thing. A good example was, there was a study where a few years ago somebody found organic molecules in the atmosphere of Venus. And the scientists wrote, oh, this is proof of life in Venus, is cloud tops. And, when you say that, then here come all the other astronomers to double check your work. And they double checked the work, and they're like, nope, you are incorrect and you read the data wrong. You are shunned. Well, actually, that person did get maybe a little over the top, but they probably deserved it. But that's the thing is, you put that stuff out. And so the latest one is that this team found this planet, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, way out there in the distant solar system. So it was thought, okay, this is going to be our new 9th planet. And some of the early reports said it's the size of Neptune. And well, okay, so let's take a look at it. We'll point the other telescopes at it. Nope, turns out it's only 1/4 the size of Pluto. So there goes that. It's not a planet. And now they're saying might not even dwarf planet. And so everything is open to review. And that's one of the things that keeps it all fresh, because, everything's being checked and double checked. And there's so many things that have been observed, and they're information changes as we get more data on it. So it does kind of make you think, well, all right, everything's open to changing. So what's the right answer? It's like, whatever the latest one is the right answer.
So do you have something like Pluto for you, like that, where there was an idea that you liked and you thought was true, and then it turned out it was fake or it was wrong and you were disappointed?
Yeah. It's a big one. The fate of the universe. I hate the fate of the universe now. So, let's say 15, 20 years ago, I was starting out, and the idea was that the universe started from the Big Bang. So it all started from one pinpoint and singularity, and it blasted out from there to create the whole universe we have now. So everything has moved away from each other. So the theory was, okay, well, gravity is going to bring it all back together again. So all that stuff that went out is going to now come back together again and crunch. So the Big Bang, now you're going to have a big crunch, bring it all back together again, in trillions of years or whatever, or billions. I think they were saying billions back then. And so then it would all come back together again. You get another crunch, and then potentially another Big Bang. And then you think, oh, I like that. That's like a circularity to it. We're going to like, oh man, how many times we've been through a Big Bang and big crunch. Maybe this is like our third go around. Maybe the three of us have been in this room another time in a previous universe. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, the big bad astronomer's like, nope, that's not how it's going to happen. So the new data is showing that the stuff is not coming back. Gravity is not slowing down the expansion, and that it's not going to crunch, and it's going to just keep going forever until stars can't form, light goes out and everything gets frozen. So they call it the big freeze or big chill. And I don't like that at all.
That's terrifying.
I know.
That stuff used to keep me awake at night as a kid, genuinely.
And that one's still trillions of years away too. So it's not like that you're not even close to it, but I don't like that idea. And so it is my hope that the new data will reverse what the current data is saying and say, nah, psych, we see something different. We're going to crunch. So, give us 20 years, we'll go back to crunch, I think, and then 20 more years, we'll go back to freeze. And so it'll go back and forth. This is the cosmologists. This is another field of astronomy. And the cosmologists are, I just picture them like sitting around, smoking up and talking deep stuff. They're just like, what if it goes on forever, man? Whoa, yeah, like forever. And so I think they'd be fun at parties, but I don't know if they're necessarily most in tune with reality, but they'd be fun at parties.
I think one frustrating thing is that pretty unlikely that there will be any humans to see what happens. So we'll never really know. We have the data that suggests something might happen, but we might.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to, our future, if we make it that far, we're going to have some problems. I mean, our sun's going to run out of fuel and swallow up the earth in 4 or 5 billion years. So we got that. We got Andromeda galaxy running into our galaxy in about 4 or 5 billion years. So that's going to be a busy billion years for us. We're going to have to figure out how to stop the sun from exploding and get out of the galaxy. So that's going to be tough.
Sounds like a case for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. How do you? Might as well do them both. So let's just go somewhere else. We'll just figure out where Star Wars takes place and go there.
Well, your terrifying march of time. Now that you've frightened everyone for the next 4 to 5 billion years, but jump back quickly. Planetarium. How'd you get from the planetarium to the observatory where you were for 23 years? And then what you're up to now. Catch us up.
Oh, yeah. So when I was at the planetarium, I was just immersed. I was astronomy 24/7. I was learning as much as I could. I was figuring out how to use telescopes, all that kind of stuff. And so the observatory was just kind of getting started in their new role as kind of like an education center. And so I volunteered over there initially. And I remember going over there the first time to meet with the older astronomers that were there. And they were kind of looking at me like, who's this guy? He's a planetarium operator. They're like, do you know how to use a telescope? I was like, yeah. I was like, all right, we'll try you out. And they were kind of skeptical at first. And I guess I won them over just because I kept coming back. I think that's probably what it was. They're trying to scare me away, and it didn't work. No, but actually, the astronomer that I worked with first, his name is Paul Knorr. He was a UC professor, and many longtime Cincinnatians probably know the name Knorr because his whole family was doing a lot of education programs and things like that and sports stuff. And he had this way that in really rubbed off on me is we're at the telescope. So if you haven't been to the Cincinnati Observatory, it's got the oldest telescope in the United States. It's 180 years old. And
John Quincy Adams dedicated
the observatory itself.
Immaculate handwriting.
Exactly. And we're there, and Paul's just like, all right, you want to point it? I'm like, what? The priceless telescope? I'm like, yeah, point it. Okay. And you're just terrified you're gonna break this thing. And it really struck me as this is the philosophy that I want to have too, is this stuff should be in the Smithsonian. This stuff should be, but its purpose was to let people see it themselves. And so that was really what won me over. And so I started off there at the observatory as their first educator. So I was still kind of like the park naturalist of the observatory, still learning my way as I went. And from there, it was basically, okay, I'm going to cold call every school in the tri-state and say, hey, you want a free program? And then it just built up from there. And so I was going out to schools. I was going out to all around. So I've probably been to every school in the area once at least. And then it's just one of those things where it's the Enquirer, Cincinnati Enquirer, was like, yeah, we need an astronomy story. And nobody at the observatory was like, we don't want to write for, we don't. I was like, well, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And so then I started writing for the Enquirer. That's, I've done regular pieces for them probably since 2001. So it's one of their longest lasting contributors.
Yeah, wow.
And then after that, it was just like, all right, you want to be on TV to talk about the Mars coming? I'm like, I guess. And it just snowballed from there. So it was one of those things where I had to learn on the job, but then after 23 years at the observatory, it was just, such a cool experience. And I'd been doing some programs around other places, and I just thought, I think it's time to go make the plunge and go out to these other observatories that are around the country too, and national parks. So that's what I've kind of done, is like, well, I'm a traveler, and I want to get out to these other places too, and but still use Cincinnati as my home base, and so I'm here most of the time. So now I give programs. It's funny because, like, when you have a job but it's not really a job. When I left the job, and I'm doing the exact same thing I was doing when I was at the observatory. I mean, like, I gave 160 talks last year.
Oh my gosh!
And when I was at the observatory, I gave 160 talks a year. Like, it's the exact same thing. And so it's been a lot of fun doing this on my own too, and kind of navigating through this kind of stuff. And so I'm at the time of recording here, I'm about to head out to the Grand Canyon, do some programs, and then it's fun the way it's been taking me all around the country to see some stuff and talk to people and meet a lot of new people.
In your experience, where in the U.S. is the best for sky gazing?
That's tough. Definitely, for Cincinnatians, the closest places to go where it's really dark, or relatively dark. So the closest one I would recommend is southeastern Ohio. So that's like Shawnee State Park is a really pretty dark sky. You could also keep going to West Virginia, like around the New River National Park is pretty close, and it's not that terribly far of a drive. But then if you want to go a little farther afield, Upper Peninsula Michigan is pretty hard to beat. It's a little longer of a drive, 9 hours or so. But then out west, and I don't think it's a big jump from Upper Peninsula Michigan to the western, parks and that kind of thing. Grand Canyon is exceptionally dark. Arches is exceptionally dark. Crater Lake in Oregon is also one of my favorite parks. That one is a really dark area. Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington can get real dark out there. So it's pretty much anywhere you get away from cities, you're gonna do all right.
Now that we have travel tips, last question before we let you go. If you had a walk-up song, what would it be? Is it Starman by David Bowie? Is that the name?
It's embarrassing because I have thought about that.
Have you?
Yeah,
Yes.
Of course. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a very musical person, but yeah.
The Star Trek theme?
No. See, the thing is, I have thought about it probably too much. But I also am not a musical person, so I actually don't know the names of songs. I just have like songs.
Do you need to
in my
karaoke
it? So there's a couple bands that there's a band that I've been following since the 90s who do have an astronomical theme. They're called Man or Astro Man. They're like 90s like space surfy rock kind of band, and so there's some music from them that I could pull as that and walk up. And there's this one song, and I don't know the name of it. It's mostly instrumental, and it's a James Brown song, and I can't remember the name of it. So but that would be the one that I would do the walk up to. So pretty up tempo. Yeah.
You got to find it. You got to start using that as the intro to your talks.
I should. I think that I've been trying to get the rights to use the Manor Astroman stuff. So you guys, I want to use your music. It was kind of funny because Manor Astroman came to Cincinnati. They're my age now, so we're all getting older. And they came, and I was like, hey, I was still at the observatory. I was like, when you guys come, I wrote to their website. I was like, I'll show you around the observatory. And it was so funny because they knew who I was from doing the old PBS show Stargazers. I did that for 9 years. That was the one that appears in the middle of the night. And so when I did the Stargazer show, I guess they saw that.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we want the Stargazer. And so I showed them around the observatory, and it was so funny. I gave them some swag from the observatory. They played their show, so I went to the show, and then we came to the observatory, and I was giving them stuff, and they asked me for my autograph.
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Are you kidding me?
That's awesome.
That's ridiculous." And so I'm like, "Yeah." So that was a big thing. So that was kind of cool. But I got to work on that. Their music's a lot of fun too. So.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When you're the rock star.
I know. And that is one of the things that I probably mistakenly assume, that when I go places, I'm thinking, yeah, people around the country are going to come follow this over here. I'm like, no, they don't. But it's still in my head that I think they will. Unfortunately, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, I do have a demographic out there that really likes the stuff that I'm doing, apparently. And I'm really big in the AARP crowd, 65 and up. Yeah. They love it. And so I always love talking to retirement centers and everything like that. There's a retirement center that I go to regularly. It's it is like I'm David Bowie walking in there. They're like, Dean's here. Oh my God. It's and as an educator, that's what you like. You like the crowds.
Absolutely.
And the other place is schools. There's some certain schools that I would go to, and they're like, man, when you come in, you're just like the rock star. I'm like, really? All right. That sounds good. Who would have ever thought that's what and so it's so in my head, I feel like a rock star, when in reality, I'm probably not so much. But it kind of helps, I think, a little bit.
I don't know. I think you could own it.
I did notice one other thing about myself was that I do like an audience. I'm a natural talker. I'm a natural educator, even though I'm pretty much introverted outside of every other thing. But I'm a natural. And so when COVID happened, I was I think I missed the audience. And so I was doing these online classes and online things as a coping mechanism. I needed to talk to people. It was kind of weird because I am very introverted, generally speaking. So that's the thing. But I did find that out about myself, is I apparently need an audience every once in a while. So that's why I got to keep busy.
Well, they're going to follow you here. So
that's right. After this, they're going to be like, oh, I heard you on the Museum Center podcast.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We hope so. Well, Dean, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for talking to us. Dean Regas, rogue astronomer, the bad boy of astronomy is what they call him. Really love talking with you. Thank you all for listening. Remember, if you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe. But most importantly, go to cincymuseum.org. Come see for yourself the latest reasons to visit. If you have any questions, comments, or just want to tell us how much you love the show, email us at meanwhile@cincymuseum.org. Thanks for listening.